Welcome back to Real Talk with Chuck and Pam. It's been kind of a crazy week, and Chuck and I are actually playing a little catch up with some of the movies that came out last week on the 10th of November. And we're also going to get everybody up to date with everything that has come out this weekend as well. Or maybe not everything, but a lot. Chuck, what would you like to start with? I know we both saw The Holdovers and we kind of both saw The Killer. Actually, we kind of both. So, I want you to start with The Holdovers, and I'm not going to weigh in too heavily on this one because I was exhausted. I had been up since 2:30 in the morning and I fell asleep. So I'm not going to weigh in too heavily on that one. So, And I know you loved it. So tell us about that one.
I wouldn't say that I loved it.
Oh, okay.
I liked it a great deal. It's not a perfect film. But we've talked repeatedly on the show and together that this has not been a really good year for film. I still have not found the one that's knocked me out yet.
Yeah.
So The Holdovers might just make my top 10 list simply because there's been nothing else. And that's kind of a backhanded compliment, I understand. And I don't want anyone to think that, it's a bad film. I don't think it's a bad film at all. But it's not as good as other things that the director Alexander Payne has done. And it wants to be a 1970s film, but it's not. And what I mean by that is that he's filming it in the style of 1970s.
Absolutely.
There's no special effects. It's all location shooting. I don't know if you noticed when you were watching, the logos at the beginning were in the 1970s style.
Right.
I think he shot in 35 millimeter film.
You can tell that it's on film versus digital. Absolutely.
Right. So, and the cinema of the 70s with the American cinema was really a pessimistic cinema. I mean, it was really going against convention of classic Hollywood with their, nice, neat endings in which everything turned out okay. And that's where this film falters. That's where it's not a 70s film, because even though there is a setback or two at the end, really, it does kind of end okay for everyone concerned. Mm-hmm. Paul Giamatti plays this guy named Hunnam, Professor Hunnam, and he's at this place called Barton Academy. It's where rich people send their sons for a private high school education to get them ready for college. He's been there forever. He actually went there as a student. He's burnt out. He's bitter. He's acerbic. He makes no bones about it. He doesn't hide it. His students hate him. He's a curmudgeon, very much so. Christmas season rolls around and he gets stuck staying or tending to what they refer to as the holdovers. The holdovers are the kids who have nowhere to go for the holidays. And so he's there. He's not happy. They're not happy. And there's one kid in particular played by a kid named Tully. I don't know the actor's name right now. If you could look that up, that would be great, Pam, as I ramble on, because I was really impressed with this kid because this is his first movie.
Oh, okay.
It's his first movie, his first TV. It's the first thing he's ever done.
Impressive.
This kid's got his own problems. You feel bad for him because he's looking forward to a vacation that his mother has promised him. Mom calls him the day before and says, "Yeah, I'm not coming. I'm going to spend time with my new husband."
His name is Dominic Sessa. S-E-S-S-A.
Dominic Sessa, that's correct. And talk about, best newcomer of the year. That's this guy. He is great. Obviously, he's got his problems. He's still dealing with the death of his father. Also, of course, this kind of a rejection. I mean, Jesus. I mean, how do you deal with that?
No.
So he's not happy. And then there's the cook, played by Divine Randolph, who we love.
Oh, we do love her. She is awesome in everything that she does.
And she's the cook of the institution, Black, of course, in the 1970s. And she's just lost her son in the Vietnam War. So you got three people who are very hurt, trying to, move on with their lives. And that's really all I want to say about it at this point.
Can I interject there for just a sec? I love how you say that, three hurt people trying to move on with their lives. I think Tully is trying to move on and figure out his life. And I think Mary is trying to figure out how to move forward. But is Hunnam trying to move forward?
Well, he's definitely stuck.
Yeah.
He's definitely stuck. I think he
knows. But does he care that he's stuck?
He's stuck, but I think he knows he needs to move forward, but I think he feels as though that opportunity has passed.
Okay. Okay.
But he kind of gets, some indication. There's a coworker at the school who seems to be showing some sort of romantic interest in him, and that's where he wants to move forward. But of course,
Okay.
well, yeah, that doesn't quite work. Um, the interplay between these three actors is the whole show. I mean, they are great together. And Giamatti, we know that he's good. We know Randolph's good. This Dominic kid, he is really good too. To be able to be on the screen with these two and not be obscured and go toe to toe with them is really something. Especially seeing as how it's his first film. I need to do some research as to how he got this part.
Right.
This plays out if you've seen Scent of a Woman, if you've seen Finding Forrester. This pretty well plays out in the same way. And I didn't mind that too much. The dialogue's good. As I say, the acting's good. It's very good. It's not great, though, because I think it does kind of cop out at the end. But as I say, in comparison to everything else I've seen, it is, kind of at the top of the heap by default, really.
I this setting of a boys' school just brings me to Dead Poet Society and The Wonder Boys. Two movies that I absolutely loved, and I feel like The Wonder Boys still holds true. My husband and I watched that actually pretty often, believe it or not. I don't watch a
I
lot of
like that
movies
one.
over and over again. And this is not that. There is something about the connection between Tully and Hunnam that I just didn't grasp. And maybe it was just the narrative arc, the character arc for Hunnam just didn't take place quickly enough. I'm not sure. I
Okay.
can't put my finger on it. Again, I have to say I was exhausted, and put me in a Barcalounger and I fell asleep. So I would like to watch this one again. I'm looking forward to getting the screener for this one so I can sit down and watch it again, maybe at 2:30 in the afternoon, and assess it properly. So that's why I don't want to weigh in too heavily here, but I didn't, there was something wrong with that character arc and that connection that bothered me.
Well, I hope you do watch it again, and I'm sure we'll return to this at the end of the year, and then maybe you can, after a rewatch, you know,
Mhm.
give a more full review on your part.
All right. That sounds like a plan. That is now playing in theaters. You can check it out in theaters. And then we also need to check up or catch up on a streaming film called The Killer, and that is out on Netflix. So that stars Michael Fassbender. And I feel like a total loser here this week because I couldn't watch this whole movie.
Okay.
I just couldn't.
Why?
I was bored to tears. I love Michael Fassbender, and we're going to talk a little bit more about him in a role that he's playing in the new Taika Waititi film. But in this movie, he narrates a good portion. I think I made it to about 30 or 45 minutes in this one. And he narrates a good portion of it. He has the most soothing voice I have ever heard. So the next time I wake up at 2:30 in the morning and can't go to sleep, I think I'm just going to play the first 45 minutes of The Killer and listen to his voice, and it will just lull me back to sleep. He's got a gorgeous voice, absolutely gorgeous, very
He does.
soothing.
Yeah.
It's directed by David Fincher, who everybody knows, and he creates some pretty amazing stuff. And Michael Fassbender plays the killer. We never know what his actual name is, and he has a target that he is setting up, and he's telling us in narrative form what he's doing and why he's doing it and his rationale behind what he does. And he ends up taking a shot. He's the best of the best. Everything is all planned out to the nth degree. And he takes a shot at his target, and oopsie daisy, that somebody gets in his way. And then all hell breaks loose. And Chuck, I'm going to let you take it from there because that's about where I quit.
Well, I understand your reaction to this, and I am very much on the fence about this movie. This movie is about style, not substance.
Okay.
It's all about style. It's all about Fincher executing these precision like set pieces in which Fassbender's character goes and tracks down the people who set up this hit, because we've seen this before, but that's what you do when things go sideways, because they're going to get you, so you better get them before they get you. And it's all about technique, this movie. It's very cool. It's very icy. This is not a warm film, and Fincher doesn't make warm films. And that's reflected in this character. And I also think it's a joke. I laughed at times once I figured out, they're talking how calm you say that the Fassbender character talks. I think that's kind of a joke. And when you listen to the narration, there's some really important things that he says, but as you say, he says them so calmly.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, oh, okay, I think I get what we're doing here. There's nothing really special story-wise about this movie. We know this. But it's a movie about moments, and as I say, style. There's a great moment between him and Tilda Swinton. He tracks her down, and she's one of the intermediaries on this thing. They have a great conversation. Right, yeah. The expert, yeah. And I'm not quite sure what she's an expert at, but they have a great sequence. They have a great scene. And the other thing I had a problem with the film is that we can't get a handle on this killer. We think that, okay, he's a sociopath, obviously.
But he's married. And
what?
he's married and he wants to protect his wife, right? I mean,
right.
I did get that far. So
right.
How does a sociopath or a psychopath or a combination of the two thereof in DSM-3 have these feelings and connections with someone in order to protect them?
I am not an expert on psychology, but I think a lot of compartmentalizing occurs here.
Okay.
And a lot of justifications. I do this so that I can have that.
Okay.
But again, there's a problem about halfway through in which he kills someone that he doesn't have to kill. And then there's someone that he should kill that he doesn't at the end.
Okay.
And it makes no sense to me as far as this code that he talks about that he has. So there's a problem with that too. I guess the thing that really upsets me about the movie is Fincher is one of our great filmmakers.
Right.
And I always look forward to everything he does. I'm waiting for that knockout, like he gave me with The Game,
right?
With Gone Girl, with Social Network.
Yep.
And this just ain't it.
No.
It seems like a trifle. It's like I said in my review, I felt as though I had consumed a meal of empty calories. I was still hungry at the end.
Yeah.
So it's disappointing in that. I expect more from him.
All right, there we go. That's wrapping up last week. And one that we both missed due to various reasons is Dream Scenario with Nick Cage. And I am so looking forward to seeing that one.
Well, let's not say we've missed it. It's not in wide release yet.
Oh, it isn't. Okay.
No,
well, we missed the screenings for critics, so we did miss that.
Right, but I mean, it's still only in like New York, LA, Chicago, the bigger markets. So it'll get down to us eventually, but I am looking forward to that one. If you don't know what we're talking about, look up the trailer. Dream Scenario. Cage plays this schlub of a guy who, for some odd reason, starts popping up in everyone's dreams. And he becomes a celebrity. And it's such a clever concept. I really hope whoever made it has a way to follow through on this, because I'm really intrigued by this one.
I quite agree with you. And you know what? I really like Nicolas Cage. I loved him in Pig. And I think he's made a lot of really bad choices, but hey, and I loved him in the Incredible Weight of Massive Talent.
Where he plays himself.
Yeah, and that was hilarious. So the filmmaker on Dream Scenario is Christopher Borgli. And
I think he's only made one film before this.
Yeah, he's made a couple, but not that I'm familiar with. So he did Sick of Myself and former cult member Hears Music for the First Time.
Okay. I watched Cage last night, actually, in Butcher's Crossing, a film I know you didn't like. But I liked him in it. He's like Captain Ahab, obsessed, mad in this, and I liked him, even though I was a little wishy-washy on the film. He's always interesting, even when he's in shit.
Oh, he is. He absolutely is. That is an actor I would like to meet one day. Yes.
Yeah.
And then a movie that we both saw this week. Let's talk about do I have to say the whole title? The girl at when I went to go get my movie ticket, the girl made me say the whole title. The Hunger Games Ballad of Songs and Snakes of
Songbirds.
Songbirds and Snakes. Thank you.
Why did she make you say the whole thing?
She was joking around.
Oh, okay. All right. Okay.
Because I said, I want a ticket for the Hunger Games thing. And she goes, tell me the whole title. Like, oh.
Not that I didn't like the Hunger Games movies, I thought they were fine, but I wasn't looking forward to this.
I wasn't either. This takes us to the prequel of the Susanna Collins. It was a trilogy, right? We had 3 books and 4 movies. Right, because they separated the last one into 2. So this brings us back in time a few decades. I don't know how many years it was supposed to be.
60 years.
And we get to meet Coriolanus Snow, the Donald Sutherland character, as a teenage. Well, actually, we meet him as a child, and we see the horrors and the traumas of the war that precipitated the Hunger Games, the institution that they now have decades and decades later, that we saw Katniss and Jennifer Lawrence playing Katniss in. So we're back, 60 some odd years, and we meet Snow and his sister and his Grammy. I really like that character. I don't know why. And we see him as a teenager, about ready to graduate high school. And he's very, very poor, but he's still putting on the pretense that his family has money because his father was the president of Pan Am, the capital. I'm sure that, a lot of you have read the books, have seen all the Hunger Games, so I'm not going to bore you with all the details of that aspect of it. But we see that this is the 10th annual Hunger Games, and there's a lot of conflict at the Capitol as to whether or not people still want to have the Hunger Games. They find them to be horrible to watch. They won't watch. And they're trying to figure out ways. Viola Davis plays Dr. Volumina Gaul. Oh my God, I loved her in this. She is incredible no matter what. But man, I just couldn't take my eyes off of her eye or her makeup or her speech or anything. And she is the game maker. She creates the games and the rules. And it looks like, is this like a reality TV kind of thing? Not enough people are watching. So we got to figure out ways of making it a little bit better. So we have Peter Dinklage, who plays, and the name of his character I'm spacing on right now, but Peter Dinklage's character has to figure out a way to make this happen for more people, more eyeballs to be on the TV. And so he has all the graduating class come in thinking that somebody's going to be a winner of the Plinth Scholarship with good grades. And turns out that no, they have to do one more thing in order to win the scholarship. And that is they have to mentor one person from each of the districts. And whoever wins the Hunger Games and is the most popular during the Hunger Games will win the Plinth Scholarship. Well, they get randomly selected, and wouldn't you know it, we've got Coriolanus Snow. I'm going to stutter on that one, played by Tom Blythe. He is going to mentor Rachel Zegler's character, Lucy Gray Baird. Lucy Gray has a little bit of Southern accent.
Sometimes, and then sometimes not.
Oh my God. Okay. So thank you for calling that out, because I used to be a speech path. So I'm kind of in tune to all this stuff. So I think sometimes I'm kind of nitpicky about it. But Kristen and I went to go see it yesterday, and we were saying the same thing. So sometimes she was a Southern belle, and sometimes she wasn't.
Yeah,
that drove me nuts. That takes me out of the character. If you can't do it, don't do it. It's okay. We have plenty of British shows that take place in Britain, and it sounds pretty American, and that's okay. It's better than having a bad accent. Just act. Don't worry about the accent if you can't do it, or hire somebody who can do both. There's a thought too. So Lucy Gray is considered the songbird. She comes in and she is smart as a whip. She's honest and true, and she captures everybody's heart. And the Hunger Games start, and Snow has kind of fallen in love with her and wants to save her, and yet he still wants the scholarship. He wants the cake and to eat it too. turns out the cards are stacked against him, and um he's just in a no-win situation. This in many ways, and I've heard other people say, so I am copying this, I'm plagiarizing it. It feels like two movies. I would have
Exactly
been,
right.
yeah, and I felt that too. I would have been fine knowing the end of the Hunger Games and who won, who didn't win, who made it out, what happened, and the end, credits roll. I think it would have been better as a two-part series because the tone shifts, the
Yep.
style shifts, the story shifts, and I was ready to be done.
Yeah.
You know, so that was I style wise, when you're talking about a movie like The Killer that's highly stylized, this too has such a unique style. I love how they blend together the 1920s, 30s, and
Hmm.
40s, maybe and even 50s, because they're old-timey looking televisions.
Yes.
And
Yes.
and then yet it's still very high tech at the same time. So it's a
Yeah.
blending of today's world or
Yeah,
future.
this neo retro thing that they have going on.
It's
Yeah,
cool,
it's great.
man. It is.
It's great.
That was captivating to me. I loved seeing that, which also I was drawn to that more than I was to the story at times. But again, it's that first half of the movie, or maybe even first two-thirds, I didn't time it, where the Hunger Games were done. We had a conclusion, and the credits should have rolled.
I have to say, I liked it more than I thought I would.
Okay.
I'm assuming that we get that last third because we must be setting up something else.
I guess. I don't know. I mean, there is a book. She Suzanne
Yeah.
Collins did write this prequel, so it is based off of the book. So I don't know if she's working on another one where we go into the 20s and 30s of Snow's life and how he ends up. I don't know. I mean, you've got 60 years to take care of.
Yeah.
So there could be like it could be like freaking Star Wars, and we could have
Oh,
3 more prequels, you know?
well, I wouldn't mind because I said I like this more than I thought it would. It reminded me of how rough these movies are. I mean, we had all those dystopian films and stories,
Right.
and this was always the best one because it was so dark and
Oh,
dire and these people dying. I mean,
it's brutal, man. It's a little
it is
disturbing.
it is, but I like that edge to it and it didn't pull away. I hated that the Hunger Games all took place in one arena. That got boring.
Right, right.
That got boring. But this another you talk about the look of this film. I love that. They spent $100 million on it, every
Worth
cent's
it.
on the screen.
Yep.
But another thing that makes this thing worthwhile is Davis. She has great moments.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
Dinklage is really good. He doesn't have enough moments.
Oh, I needed more of him. He
Yes.
is incredible. Did you notice like when he's talking, he can make like different facial muscles
Uh-huh.
twitch during certain moments that just
Yeah.
add such gravity to a situation? He is incredible.
He's great.
I might even
And
watch Game of Thrones because of him.
yeah, exactly. And Jason Schwartzman is good too.
Oh, he's
He's
hilarious. He is.
he's the announcer, and he's either he's probably the grandfather of the Stanley Tucci character and the
Right,
other
right.
ones. And he steals every scene he's in. He is fantastic.
Yep.
So those 3 veteran people I thought were great. Ziegler's good too. Even with the wavering accent, she's got presence.
And one thing I have a question about though, and okay, so we're talking about characters. Let's go back to Tom Blythe who plays Snow.
Yeah.
What did you think of him?
I liked him.
Okay.
I liked it. I mean, he's not required to have the range of everybody else. I mean, he's kind of everything's revolving around him. So he's got to be kind of stoic. I thought he was fine. And
Okay.
actually, I think the best part of that last third was him because he was allowed to do more.
Okay. I didn't feel that he had the depth, and I just I needed a little bit
Well,
more from him.
he's not as good as Ziegler, and every time they
Yeah.
were in a scene together, she dominated.
Yes,
So
absolutely.
that's a problem.
Yeah, she's incredible. And this was a musical, if you will. I mean, it is a songbird. And I loved her voice. It was almost like a combination between do you know who Alison Krauss is? She's and Dolly Parton. It was like the
Uh-huh.
two of them together, in one voice.
Alison Krauss is from Champaign, Illinois.
No way.
Yeah, I'll
I
take
did
her by
not.
your house when you come down again.
Oh, I would love that. She is one of my favorite artists. I've seen her perform in Chicago a couple of times and at the Old Town folk music school, I think it's called something like that.
Yeah, born
Um,
and raised here in Champaign, Illinois.
gosh, I did not know that. That's so cool.
Yeah,
So and with that last third of this story, there were a couple things that didn't jive for me
I
in
agree.
this. Okay, and that bothered me. I'm like, oh, what's the reason for that reaction and why did that happen? And that is okay. We talk about endings of movies. This was the end of the movie, and I'm not going to blow it for anybody, so don't worry. I'm not going to give you a spoiler, but I didn't buy it. I didn't buy the
Yeah,
ending, any part of the ending from the
yeah.
cabin on.
However, there was a great twist with the Dinklage character. I like that.
Oh, I liked that too.
And I will say though, that the overall theme I thought was effective, that good people are forced to make bad decisions. When you have no choice, sometimes you make bad decisions and it changes your complete character. I
Right,
liked how we see how he starts to become the character we see later on. I thought
right.
that was done well.
Yep, I did too. I did too.
Yeah.
So kind of a I don't know. I guess I'm going to say that I recommend it if you've watched the other movies or read the books. But
Right.
if you
You're
didn't,
on the fence.
probably yeah, I think I am. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I think I
Uh,
liked it a bit more than you, but my expectations were low, so that's always good.
right. Well, I ain't never in all my born put together seen a prequel like that.
No, you haven't.
And that brings us to a movie that I saw that you did not see. And that is this movie that I've been looking forward to. Next Goal Wins. And this is Taika Waititi, who I loved and maybe not loving him so much anymore.
Past tense,
Um,
huh?
huh?
Past tense.
Maybe it just might be past tense on this one. Hunt for the Wilder People, I believe, was one of his first movies, perhaps his first movie. And I
No,
can
he did the vampire spoof.
What We Do in the
What we do
Shadows.
in the shadows.
Yeah,
Yeah.
okay. I didn't see that one. I know that one's one of my
Ah,
daughter's
ah,
favorites.
it's great.
Yeah, and she actually watches the TV show that it's
Yeah.
based off of too, which I find hilarious. But Hunt for the Wilder People is one of my favorite movies of that year. I can't remember how long ago that was, quite a while, probably 10, 12 years ago. And Taika has done an awful lot since then, including Marvel movies, maybe Marvel, maybe DC. You know how I get those mixed up. And there's a part of
Jojo
me.
Rabbit.
Hmm? Jojo,
Jojo Rabbit.
and Jojo Rabbit was amazing. Again, to me, a phenomenal movie of that year. I know a lot of people had some issues with it, but I really enjoyed it. So anyway, he now takes on Next Goal Wins. It's the true story of a really horrible American Samoa soccer team who, during the World Cup tryouts, sorry, you can hear my dogs in the
Yeah.
background. He's having a dream. I guess he's chasing squirrels or something.
Get him.
Um,
Get him.
Get him, Charlie. And this team lost 31-0 in a World Cup soccer qualifying game. So we have the character Michael Fassbender again, who plays Thomas Rongen, and he is a hot-headed soccer coach in the U.S. who has just had too many meltdowns. It's kind of like a Bobby Knight character, is what I equate him to, and he is fired. And his only hope back is to take a job coaching this losing team. And he gets flown into the American Samoa area 4 weeks before their official game for the World Cup tryouts or qualifying game. And you can guess it, this is a ragtag group of people. They're not very good at, obviously not very good at soccer. They've got a lot of issues, and Fassbender has some issues that we're not aware of that we learn later that I think really gives you a lot of heart and meaning to this character. The entire film is introduced by Taika's American Samoa priest character. He loves playing a priest. It's not the first time. It probably
Right.
won't be the
Right.
last time. And you get such an incredible sense of Taika's speech style, his writing, his word usage. everything in almost every single character that comes on the screen. We even hear his voice through Michael Fassbender's character, which was kind of disturbing to me. The actor Oscar Kitely, who plays Tavita, he is the American Samoa Soccer Federation representative or president. I felt like he was sitting on Taika Waititi's lap while Taika had his hands in the back of his head, moving his mouth, and he was a ventriloquist. And Tavita was the dummy playing, using all the words. And he could have been his father. I mean, they sounded identical. Everything was like, I'm listening to Taika again. This was Taika overkill. I like Taika, but man, he has got a very strong personality, a very strong style of comedy. And too much of a good thing is not a good thing.
Yep. Yeah.
The story is actually, it's not just Thomas Rongan's story. It's also this woman, Jaya, played by Kaimana, who is the first transgender soccer player to ever compete. And this is her story. And man, is she good. She is captivating every single time she's on the screen. She fills the screen. And you really connect with her. You really understand better, I think, what it might be like to go through all the difficulties, the harassments, the emotions, the hormones, the everything that she needed to go through in order to be where she's at. She's a star player. So it's a bit of their relationship and how that comes together. It's definitely a heartfelt movie. We also get a taste of what the American Samoan culture is about. And I loved that part. If Taika's personality wasn't so strong and he didn't have to be front and center, that's how I am looking at this. It would have been a better movie. This is a feel-good movie. This is an uplifting movie. But Taika overshadows it. What we do.
That's too bad.
Yeah. So I mean, I recommend it if you don't have that issue with Taika or you don't know him well enough to know that he's going to overshadow it. I don't think it would be a big deal. I think people are going to enjoy this uplifting, feel-good kind of movie, especially around Thanksgiving, Yeah.
It's like a family thing.
It is, I think, teenagers and up.
Okay.
See what I can't remember what it's rated. It's probably R. No, it's PG-13. So yeah, teenagers and up. Yep. PG-13. Check it out. I think anyone who plays soccer is going to love it. You have a lot of fun with it.
My sons are looking forward to it. So there is that.
Yeah, I know my son is as well. So anything else to wrap up this podcast, Chuck?
Yeah, I want to mention the biggest disappointment I've had this year.
What?
Monarch.
No.
On Apple TV.
Oh no, you had the whole Russell to Monster ratio. Oh no.
You know why the Russell to Monster ratio is so skewed?
Why?
There's no fucking monsters.
No.
It is a colossal bore.
Colossal. I like that.
Bore. Yes, thank you. I'm going to be using that. Godzilla and the other monsters are barely in this thing. It's 10 episodes long. I should have given up on it. I didn't realize it was 10 episodes long. They gave us 8, so I figured, okay, it's only 8. Get to the end of 8, it's not done. There's flashbacks. There's flash forwards. There's flashbacks within flashbacks.
Shoot.
This thing goes nowhere. It is absolutely, positively maddening. The biggest disappointment I've had all year. Monarch, the supposed kickoff of the new version of the Monsterverse with Godzilla, an absolute bore.
Bummer.
Despite Kurt Russell being there.
Okay.
And we love him, but
we do.
Yeah. But no, it is. There's one great moment in which they've got Kurt locked up in a prison. And suddenly a film starts, a home movie starts. And it's from 40 years ago. And it's a film of his character. And he turns to look at the projector and you see his son's face projected on him.
Oh, which episode is that? I want to watch that one.
I think it's 4.
Okay.
It's really a wonderful moment.
Okay.
It really is. That and Godzilla basically eating an atom bomb. That's it. Those are the highlights.
Okay.
So
there you have it. Skip it. Apple TV.
skip it with a vengeance. Yes.
Plenty of other things to see on Apple TV, like The Morning Show, Ted Lasso, and lots of other
Yep.
great things. So definitely worth your money, which is not a whole lot per month to pay for
No.
Apple TV, but do not watch this one.
Nope.
All right.
So yeah, that's all I got.
Cool. That sounds great. That wraps it up. Sorry. I guess I haven't had enough caffeine this morning for Real Talk with Chuck and Pam. Check out everything, realtalkwithchuckandpam.com. You can find us on CBS 58 out of Milwaukee, Racine and Lee. Have a happy Thanksgiving, everybody. Enjoy and be safe.
Yep. Take care.